Hello chaps, how you doing? My name's Danny and this is my review for WWE's pay-per-view Great Balls of Fire. I've got to say, I'm impressed WWE, and I don't say that very often indeed, but I think generally speaking this pay-per-view was received positively. Very, very positively from what I've seen so far. But yeah, this is just going to be my take on this pay-per-view. I'm going to go through each of the matches from 1 o'clock a.m. my time, so I didn't have time to look at the pre-show. The cruiserweights, but I am going to talk about each individual match, but there's 3 in particular that I want to go a bit more in depth with. So here we go, okay? First of all, we had Bray Wyatt versus Seth Rollins. Didn't do it for me, guys. And did it really do it for anyone? I mean, you've got 2 weeks worth of backstory, pretty much anyway, and even then, you know, there's no heat there. Do you know what I mean? Bray Wyatt's doing his usual thing. The father will kill you, and then the mother will kill you. It's like, you know, I've never liked that laugh, and I've kind of never liked the way he talks. He sounds a cross between Christopher fucking Walken, Macho Man Randy Savage, and the fucking Joker from The Dark Knight. You know what I mean? You get those 3 entities together, you've got Bray Wyatt, and maybe feed him up a bit. But, you know, aside from that, I actually quite like Bray Wyatt. But the writing for this guy, do you know what? I'm losing the plot here, aren't I? I'm deviating. The match itself was below average. I didn't enjoy it. You know, when I look at these matches, I look at everything from the wrestling, from the in-ring performance that isn't anything to do with the wrestling, like, you know, anything like trash talk or, you know, like just memorable moments, you know. And then also you got the backstory as well, which fits into things, you know, everything. And of course the spots, there was nothing in here, guys. You know, Seth Rollins and even Bray Wyatt didn't even get a chance to really, you know, do anything exemplary, to do anything really, really memorable. And I wonder if it's to do with the fact that Bray Wyatt, or the guy that plays Bray Wyatt, I'm not sure what his actual name is, has been found out recently, if you know what I mean. Obviously, you know, if you watch wrestling and you're going backstage into these stories online, I think you know what I'm talking about. Maybe his heart isn't in it at the moment. But then again, I don't think that's an excuse because I'm deviating. The match was below average in my opinion. Next we have Big Cass versus Enzo Amore. Now, little backstory. I've got to say this, guys. I've never liked these two. I've never liked them. I think they look like an odd couple. I mean, sure, we've had Kane tagging up with Daniel Bryan, for instance, but that kind of worked because they had a kind of personality that I personally could attach myself to. But these guys starting off every single match with "My name is Enzo Amore and I am," you know, and then Big Cass with his SAWFT. Start the fucking match, guys. You know, I'm you know, it's the same. It's the match for this pay-per-view, right, was good. It was short, but it didn't need to be long or anything like that. I'll tell you this, even though I didn't like these two guys, I think Enzo Amore gave the promo of his life in the middle of the ring. Leading up to this fight as well, you had some good backstory. I mean, it was kind of lazy in the fact that, you know, one of the commentators was like, actually, I have some found footage here on the CCTV. I think we ought to have a look at this. And then we saw that Big Cass laid down, because it turned out that Big Cass was hitting Enzo Amore. You know, he was just attacking him from behind and all that stuff. That never sounds right, attacking someone from behind. Or is it just my filthy mind? Anyway, I digress once again, guys. The backstory for the most part was, you know, it was kind of emotional. I mean, there's this one spot in the ring where they're talking to each other. This is, you know, before this actual pay-per-view. And, you know, Enzo gets the tears, you know what I mean, streaming down his face. And I can't remember if I've ever seen that, like, done effectively at least, before. And I think this guy's got great talent. I'm not sure about his wrestling, but I think if you could put this guy as a manager, someone who's consistently on TV as some kind of presence, or, you know, I think he could do well. I really do. And I think he can, you know, make Raw a good place to watch. Did I just say that? And as for Big Cass, I thought he was great in the ring as well. You know, he came off dominant. The things he was saying to Enzo in the ring, you know, the faces he was making, everything. I like that. I like subtle faces. You know, just like, you know, the sly smile. But you know, if it's pulled off effectively, because sometimes it can come off a bit cheesy and unbelievable. But I just bought into this match, guys. So I thought this was a very above average fight. And yeah, I was impressed with both candidates, if you like. Next we have one of the best matches I've seen yet, and it was a tag match. It was the Hardy Boys versus Sheamus and Cesaro. Now, as far as tag matches goes, I'm not too fond of them. It really depends on who the tag teams are. But you know, who doesn't love the Hardy Boys, right? Especially now. You know, back then the Hardy Boys were cool, and you know, I kind of liked them, but I like them even more now because we all know about Broken Matt. You know, Brother Nero and Deletes. I just love that whole gimmick. You know, who doesn't really? I mean, he's a fucking caca, kooky. But the match itself was great. It was a what was it? It was a 30-minute Iron Man tag match, right? Where you get as many pins as you can within that 30-minute time slot. And you know, as soon as it started, they did a switcheroo. Sheamus and Cesaro. You know, Cesaro just flies through the ring. You know, just skids in the ring and then out again. And then of course Sheamus hits the big boot on Matt Hardy. And then gets the I'm lost for words, guys, because I'm still thinking about it. It's seriously one of the best matches this year. Seriously. Yeah, I think that these two have a great kind of backstory as well. You know, for one thing, the fact that Sheamus kicked Jeff Hardy's tooth out at some point. What was it, about a couple of months back? That was fucking savage. You know, that was real shit as well. That wasn't meant to happen, as far as I'm aware, anyway. But it was just a great match. There was loads of great spots. You know, lots of, you know, believable moments. And what I liked about it as well, they do the count out thing a lot these days in WWE. There's a lot of count out victories these days. It's like a disease at the moment, but they pulled this off effectively. They had like 10-15 seconds on the clock from when Cesaro pinned, I think it was Jeff Hardy. Oh no, it was Matt Hardy, wasn't it? And then he comes out of the ring. Jeff Hardy's like trying to like chase him, get him in the ring. Ends up hitting the twist of fate on him, but it was just too late. But guys, both teams came off really, really strong here, and Matt Hardy bled, and I couldn't work out if it was staged or not. You know, I didn't know if he cut himself or not, but he was bleeding. I was like, whoa, do you know what I mean? Usually when someone bleeds, it means they've cut themselves for real. Do you know what I mean? From their own accord kind of thing, as part of the whole, you know, it's just what they do sometimes, just to make things a bit more edgier. But I haven't seen it in so long, and just to see it in a tag match, you know, whether it was real or not, was a bit like, I like this shit. It's not because I'm a bloodthirsty bastard, it's because, again, it makes things a bit more real. But I kind of caught glimpses of Broken Matt in there. He looked a bit sketchy, like, do you know what I mean? That was probably because he had blood on his face, but he was getting himself wiped off by the medical technician, all that stuff. But I just saw glimpses there. I was probably just looking too much into it, but we want to see Broken Matt in this, do you know what I mean? We see glimpses of him now and again, but it caught my eye, It caught my eye. But yeah, definitely a solid fucking fight. Great. Then we had Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss. You know what I'm really happy about, guys? You know, 10 years ago, you would have looked at a women's match and either you would have stayed and perved over it, or you would have just flipped off because it's a women's match. I'm so glad that over the past couple of years, or past 2, 3, 4 years actually, especially nowadays though, the past couple of years, really, really more so, women really make you sit in your seat and watch them because they are really talented. You know what I mean? And I love Alexa Bliss. You know, if I could have 1 hour with that girl, 1 hour. Anyway, you know, both these girls are talented. Again, I'm not a Sasha Banks fan. I never have been really, but you know, I do kind of like her. It's just that I can't see how she would beat someone like Charlotte, because you've got Charlotte who's got the build, got the physique, got the height, got the talent, and then you've got Sasha Banks who's kind of got talent. You know what I mean? I just don't buy into her kind of thing as much as WWE have been building her up to. But Alexa Bliss, although she's like 5 foot fuck all, what she lacks in effective movesets, she's got great attitude, and she does remind me of a kind of of a kind of Trish Stratus, you know what I mean, with the kind of attitude and that kind of stuff. There's flashes of Trish Stratus there, I feel anyway. I see that. DualShock 4 disconnected. That's what that noise was. But the match itself was, pretty. It was above average. I thought it was. It had some good spots in it as well. It's hard for me not to enjoy a match with Alexa Bliss anyway, because not just because of the eye candy, guys, but because I do like watching her in the ring. Again, I did say that she doesn't have that great movesets, but there's something about her, like she kind of has it. It's probably just to do with her, her attitude. Like I said before, she pulled the dislocated arm again. Yeah, that always worries me. Do you know what I mean? I know it was put on, but it made me think at the same time. I kind of had they kind of made me think, is this for real? Yeah, of course it's for real. But I like that stuff. I like suspension of disbelief. I really do. So overall, pretty pleased with that matchup. Then we had The Miz versus, I got the notes down here, that's why I'm looking down. I got The Miz at match number 5 versus Dean Ambrose. I skipped it. Do you know why? I like The Miz. I just don't like Dean Ambrose. I like him in spouts, but I just don't like him as a kind of in-ring performer. I just don't buy into him, guys. So I'm sorry to say that I kind of started watching it, and then I kind of fast forward down to the end just to see the feud has been going on for so long now, right? It's just boring now, If I'm going to watch that match for anything, I'd watch it for The Miz. But I know for a fact who's going to win, because Miz has got the Miz-tourage, and he's got his girl by his side. Dean Ambrose ain't going to win that. So, I kind of haven't given it a fair trial, but I don't give a fuck. At the end of the day, I knew what was going to happen, and I'm just not invested in Dean Ambrose. So it gets a below average score from me. Take that as you will. Right, now we have the second match I want to talk about in depth, which really impressed me. Okay, not so much the actual match. Well, actually, the match itself actually did impress me, but it was the aftermath. Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns. Okay, so we had some good spots in here as well, some very good spots. The ones that really stick into my mind is when Roman Reigns hit Braun Strowman over I think it was his left arm, at some point, and it did nothing. But it was the way that the cameras were that kind of like shot these two guys' reactions. I mean, you had the chair shot, and then Roman Reigns was like that. Do you know what I mean? And Braun was like, it was just effective. And then Roman tried it again, and he just like blocked it like that kind of thing. That looked pretty cool. And then he had like Strowman say, "Hit me again, you son of a bitch." I love that kind of shit. It makes you feel hot, heated, you know what I mean? Invested in the moment. The match itself was, pretty above average itself. I was looking forward to this match. This was like the one of the two I was looking forward to the most, and obviously you know which one I was looking forward to the most. But this one was definitely nearly up there with the main event, which I'll get to after this. But after the fact that Roman Reigns goes to spear him and just flies in the ambulance, that made me chuckle. And then I was like, he's going to do it. And Braun Strowman won. I expected Roman to lose. I expected Strowman to lose this one, guys. I really did. But then Roman comes out, kind of beats Strowman up, puts him in the ambulance, drives off, and you've got like a little shot in the rearview mirror of like Roman Reigns thinking about something, like fucking, The Godfather, before he fucking takes out the fucking guys in the restaurant. And then he backs up, reverses, and crushes the back of the fucking ambulance into what was it? Another vehicle, or was it a wall? I think it was another vehicle, wasn't it? I've only watched it once, but and my brain is shot to shit, as you could probably tell anyway. But I just didn't expect it. Roman gets out, and then Kurt Angle's like, "Come on, someone call a medic. Put your phones down." I'm not supposed to do a very good Kurt impression there, guys, but you know what I'm saying. Then they had an impromptu match with Heath Slater and that other guy who I don't really care about. Heath Slater won off screen, which I thought was just fantastic. To be fair, I kind of laughed at that. I thought, "Oh, poor Heath Slater." Do you know what I mean? Off camera. Then the actual ambulance comes to get this guy out of that ambulance, and there's a nice shot of Kurt Angle just like, "Oh God, please just let him be okay." I bought into it. Do you know what I mean? They get Strowman out. Strowman's just like covered in blood from his arm and his face, which I was getting, "Whoa, guys, seriously, this is awesome. It's just more real, do you know what I mean? Strowman's days, just like, falling about everywhere, slipping and sliding, you're looking like a fish out of water. Kurt Angle's there like, come on, we've got to get some help for you. And Braun says something like, just leave me be, or something like that. And it got, as soon as I saw Roman get out of that ambulance, put him in there, drive off, I thought, hang on a second, is this going where I think it's going? Because the fans, well, rather the WWE Universe, don't, for the majority, don't like Roman Reigns, okay? But they love Braun Strowman. And then when I saw him look at himself in the rearview mirror, right, I thought, are we going to get a double turn here? We're going to get Roman turn heel. And I know he's like not a good guy, he's not a bad guy, he's the guy. And obviously Braun is, supposed to be a heel, but everyone loves the crap out of him. Are we supposed to get a proper turn, a double turn now? We'll see. I kind of hope we do, to be fair. I mean, I don't think we will, but the heart wants what the heart wants. But overall, I was impressed. I like where they're going with it. I want to see more of that, please. Vince, it's all down to you. Vince, do it. All right? And now we've got the main event, the one I was looking forward to the most. Okay, you got my man, Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe. I loved the lead up to this, guys. But I heard a kind of podcast recently from Edge and Christian when I was in work, just having a cigarette, and they were talking about, I'm really looking forward to this, but there's one issue. It's a short build up, and this could have been a WrestleMania match, and I think I agree with this. In fact, I do agree with it. It was about 4 weeks worth of story, which I thought they did pretty well anyway. But having a WrestleMania match with these two, I think, and having it be longer than this one was, which was about 7-8 minutes, having it to be about 15-18 minutes, something like that, really making it a special event for these two characters, because I like Samoa Joe. I mean, if you know me, you know how much I want to bone Brock Lesnar. I'm not gay, guys, you know what I'm saying? But I absolutely love Brock Lesnar because he's a talented motherfucker. He's got credentials. He's old school. He's a very simple bloke, and he reminds me of someone close to my family. Do you know what I mean? He's top-notch material. But the match itself was great. I like the fact that when Brock went up to the ring, he didn't jump up to the ring. He went around and up the steps, which he never really does anymore. And he only did that so that Samoa Joe wouldn't try anything, but he did anyway. He took his back towards him, he showed Samoa Joe his back, and grabbing the title up like that before the match started, and then Samoa Joe just went in like that. The match was alright, I think it could have been better. It could have lasted a little bit longer. I think it could have been better, I really do. But there's, again, some good spots in this one. Brock Lesnar got his ass handed to him a lot, and they did a really good job at building up Samoa Joe, which they needed to do, and I think they've kind of done that. They could have done it a bit more. Maybe that low blow was a bit too much. I kind of liked it, but I think it was a bit too much maybe, because there's two cheap shots, and then you've got like the cheap shots before this pay-per-view, on Raw. But overall, I felt that it was a decent main event. It could have been better, but I was relatively happy with it. So overall, guys, I was above satisfied with this pay-per-view, Great Balls of Fire. I think the stand-up, the match of the night, was definitely the Hardy Boys versus Sheamus and Cesaro. And again, coming from me, that's quite a compliment. That's quite a statement, because I'm not into tag matches, but this was probably one of the best tag matches that I've personally seen, period. And I've been with the WWE since basically I was born in 1986. So that's quite high applause coming from me. As a whole, as a pay-per-view as a whole, I'd give it a very respectable 7 out of 10. And that's a lot coming from me, guys. If you don't know me, it's about me, guys. I am quite tight with my scoring, whether it's for film, TV, games, box sets, music, whatever. Do you know what I mean? So 7 is a very good score from me. I think there could have been, some better spots in other matches. Seth Rollins, Bray Wyatt. Maybe we got, Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss, maybe a couple more in there. But to be fair, it was a highly respectable pay-per-view, and I hope WWE really do continue on this path, okay? So if you've liked this review, guys, and if you want to see more WWE reviews for pay-per-views or anything like that, then consider hitting that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up as well. I would appreciate that. If not, as you know, go fuck yourselves. But seriously, guys, thank you very much for watching. My name's Danny, and I will see you when I sees you. Ta-ta.